Welcome back to Madman Review. You all love our Deadly Shootings Where Good Guy Stops Bad Guys series so much. That last episode we dropped 2 weeks ago, it's already racked up over 220k views. That's nuts. Big thanks for watching, for hitting that like button, and for subscribing. You guys are killing it, so naturally we're dropping a part 3. And you know what? We're seriously thinking about turning this into a weekly series. But real quick, big props and a huge thanks to Heritage.org and the Daily Signal for their monthly roundups of defensive gun use stories. We're diving into 8 new stories where a good guy with a gun stepped up to the plate. And the usual disclaimer, you likely never heard about these stories on the big news networks. These don't make the headlines on CNN or NBC. Why? Well, I've got 2 words for you. George Soros. But do take note that some local news channels might have already covered these stories. Alright, enough talk. Let's jump into the action. Number 8. Blind guy shoots bald guy in the butt. Down in Franklin, Ohio, Jeffrey Carl figured he'd try his hand at breaking into a house and ended up getting shot for his efforts. This went down before the sun was up on Wednesday. Picture this. The homeowner rings up the cops at 3:30 in the morning, calm as can be, and says he shot at a burglar.
Somebody broke in my back door. Got a shot off as he was coming right towards me.
And here's a kicker. The guy's vision is shot. He just rolled out of the hospital that very night. His nephew spilled the beans to the local news. The homeowner wasn't sure if his shot landed, but the police, their canine, sniffed out a blood trail to a shed nearby. Who's inside? None other than Carl, camped out in his buddy Joe Lewis's shed. Joe's reaction? Dang, someone zapped Jeff in the rear.
My reaction was, damn, somebody shot that boy in the...
Looks like Carl thought he'd find the house empty, not knowing the homeowner would be back so soon. Despite Carl's sketchy past with drugs and weapons, Joe insists he's not all bad, just fighting some battles. Before getting shot, Carl snagged some firearms and music equipment from there, and Joe's kinda shocked because Carl never messed with his own valuables. Jeff's little adventure wrapped up with a hospital visit, followed by jail time. He's now staring down burglary charges, plus they already had a warrant out for him for some other mess. Joe's just hoping Jeff straightens out, but for the time being, Jeff's stuck in jail with his bail nailed at $50,000. Number 7. Food bank manager holds car thief at gunpoint. Down in College Park, Georgia, things got real when a car thief led cops on a wild chase that ended right behind a food bank. The staff there were all in on the action. It was just another Monday evening when security cams caught one of the volunteers dashing into the break room to tell their boss, William Joyner.
Up front, some guy's on the run from cops. You got a gun, he in the back. He ran on back, right?
That some guy with a gun was tearing through their parking lot. William, who's an Army vet, didn't waste a second. He grabbed his gun, got it ready, and stepped outside to handle business. I told him, hit the deck. Cops are coming. Just kneel and put your hands up, William said. The guy, a 20-year-old named Jordan Shelley, was playing stubborn, keeping one hand hidden all the time.
He's still trying to talk to me, talk his way out of it, distract me, because the whole time his right hand was sliding down toward the gun.
William kept his cool, telling the guy not to make him pull the trigger.
I was telling him, I was like, don't make me kill you, because I will.
Just then, security footage shows a College Park cop coming around the corner. Taser at the ready.
I continue telling him, put that hand up where I can see it. And at that point, luckily, a College Park police officer came running around with his taser out, and the guy put his hand up then.
Turns out, Shelley and his buddy, 21-year-old James Green, had been fleeing in a hot car down Roosevelt Highway just before the crash that sent them running, bus stop wreckage and all. While Green got caught fast, Shelley hightailed it across the train tracks and ducked into the food bank's lot. Now, they're both slapped with obstruction charges, and Green's got extra for theft and smashing up property. Number 6. Woman helps cops catch fugitive. In Detroit, a guy's in the hospital after he bolted from the cops and got shot by a woman whose porch he decided to crash. Cops were on his tail on a Thursday night because he was involved in a hit and run. He wasn't up for stopping though, so he led them on a slow-speed chase that ended up on someone's front steps on Cherry Lawn near Santa Clara. It all went down a little past 11 p.m. This 24-year-old dude rushed onto the porch of a 42-year-old lady, and she didn't hesitate to shoot. Her family spoke to local news reporters, saying they felt threatened. They couldn't see what he had in his hand, so she took the shot. A guy from the neighborhood was like, "With everything going down around here, you've got to keep your family safe. Nobody can blame you for defending your turf."
All the things that's happening in the neighborhood, we have to make sure we protect our families and our neighbors, because we don't know what's happening, and really nobody can be blamed for trying to protect themselves.
The cops chatted with the woman and then let her go. Meanwhile, the guy she shot is looking at charges for fleeing, resisting, and obstruction. He's laid up in the hospital in serious condition. People in Detroit have seen a lot, said the neighbor, but judging folks for doing what they gotta do to stay safe isn't our place.
Think about all the incidents that happen in Detroit, and there's been a lot of them. But we can't start judging people for whatever they have to do.
The names of the dude who got shot and the woman who shot him haven't been released. Number 5, Clerk scares robber armed with a shotgun. A robber casually strolled into a Florida convenience store with a shotgun, claiming he was from Chicago, but he bolted when the clerk showed he wasn't messing around and pulled out his own weapon, the cop said. 32-year-old Rakeem Stephen Tate made a real mess of things when he decided to walk into the store with his shotgun in plain sight, according to the Escambia County Sheriff's Office. He's now facing charges for toting a gun openly like that and trying to rob the place. The store's security footage shows Tate roaming around inside for a bit before the clerk, who was off camera, starts chatting with him. It looks like the clerk spotted Tate getting ready outside, so he grabbed his own piece from the back room before things could get ugly. Tate tried to play it cool, saying, "I don't mean no harm, I'm just not from around here," even bragging about his big gun. "I'm from Chicago, bro."
"I don't mean no harm, I'm just not from around here." "What you got in your hand, bro?" "I got a big gun, but I'm not from around here is what I'm saying. I'm from Chicago, bro."
When Tate got curious about the clerk's gun, the clerk clapped back, and that's when Tate decided to take a leisurely walk out. The sheriff's office was like, "That's what happens when your bad day gets even worse. You get shut down by someone on the right side of the law." Number 4, 17-year-old stops 4-man home invasion. Down in Channelview, Texas, a 17-year-old kid turned hero when he took out a couple of armed guys trying to force their way into his home. At least that's the word from Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez. It all went down on a Friday night around 10:40 p.m. The Harris County deputies got a hot call about shots being fired over on the 16,000 block of First Street. There's this video floating around that caught 4 suspects pulling up and parking next to the house they were eyeing. But things went south for them real quick. In just a minute or two, you can see 2 of these guys booking it back to their car and hitting the gas. When the cops got there, they found 2 of the crew out on the lawn, gunned down and not moving. Inside the house were a woman, a young kid about 12, and 2 17-year-olds, all shaken up, but okay. Turns out one of the 17-year-olds wasn't having it. He grabbed his shotgun and let it rip, hitting the guys who broke in. Man, even the neighbor's place got caught up in the mess, with their house and car taking 9 bullets. Miraculously, nobody else got hurt. It's pretty wild stuff. Number 3, store owner neutralizes armed popcorn robber. Over in Ridgeland, Mississippi, a shooting went down at North Park Mall one Saturday afternoon. Police Chief Brian Myers is talking about how a 16-year-old girl Zalil Deshelle Patterson, got shot after a bit of drama in the mall. Here's the lowdown. Around 5:20 p.m., Patterson, this kid from Jackson, decides she's gonna lift some goods from a popcorn spot in the mall. Things got heated quick when she pulled a gun, but the store owner wasn't having it. Shot her right in the leg. Myers say it was all in self-defense. After a quick trip to the hospital, Patterson found herself cooling her heels in the Madison County Detention Center. She's looking at aggravated assault charges and, tough break, she's getting charged as an adult. The popcorn store owner talked with the cops and is pretty much in the clear. Meanwhile, Police Chief Myers is like, "This is messed up. We've never had this kind of thing go down inside the mall. We're not about this life, and we'll handle it." An employee who works at the mall was like, all of a sudden, bam, bam, bam. I'm counting maybe 8 or 9 shots. I'm a manager, right? So customers are freaking out, running to the back, and we're letting them out because, honestly, we were scared. Then I see this girl, Patterson, shot and stumbling down in front of our spot. Scared the daylights out of me. Lucky thing, nobody else got hurt.
Be here, thankful that, my children are alive, that no one that was with me was injured.
Myers said they're going to bring this whole mess in front of the Madison County Grand Jury. Number 2, Chinese lady wastes drunk home invader. In Stanislaus County, a late-night ruckus had a Patterson homeowner grabbing her revolver. Her husband was fending off a drunk intruder trying to crash their space. This went down after 10 p.m. on a Saturday. The cops were tipped off to trouble on Ashwood Lane after a neighbor, who barely spoke English, reported she'd shot an intruder. The police found an unmoving guy at the front door and clamped down on the area. After some shooting, they got everyone out of the house to suss out the story. Once the scene was safe, the pros took over. Surveillance and witnesses told the story. Angelo Santana, 22, liquored up and tried bustling into the house. Homeowners Yuhui Zhang and Yang Luan stood their ground. Yang scrapped with Santana at the doorstep, escaping with just a few scratches. Yuhui, who'd only recently armed herself, defended her husband, emptying the revolver into Santana. No arrests yet. Looks like Yuhui was just defending her home, as Santana came unarmed. Santana, known for his boozy drop-ins, apparently liked to look for pals in the neighborhood after a few too many. Number 1. Armed Good Samaritan saves stranger. In Wichita, Kansas, Julian Gonzalez, a 38-year-old from Newton, found himself in hot water over a wild car crash stabbing combo weeks ago. The guy's hit with a laundry list of charges, including attempted murder, and is cooling his heels in jail with bail set at $250,000. Here's the lowdown. Wichita's finest nabbed Gonzalez after some mayhem unfolded on a Wednesday night. The cops showed up to a wreck and a scuffle, with bystanders pitching in to help a guy who got stabbed. Big shout out to the locals who didn't just stand by. One person used their ride to corner the attacker, and another kept him at gunpoint until the cops took over. What sparked it all? Gonzalez used his Hyundai to slam a Chevy carrying a lady and 2 kids. Then he flipped, smashing windows with nunchucks before going on a stabbing spree. Heroic bystanders put Gonzalez on pause at gunpoint and pitched in with life-saving first aid. The mom and kids got out with minor cuts, but all of them ended up at the hospital. Gonzalez isn't a stranger to the law. Got a rap sheet with aggravated battery already on it. On that chaotic evening, a crash turned into a stabbing, leaving 3 injured. The tension had been mounting all week. Post-crash, as tempers flared, the stabbing happened. But hey, Wichita citizens stepped up, some using their belts and shirts to stop the bleeding. According to Lieutenant Waite of the WPD, those Good Samaritans probably saved a life. Thankfully, the kids in the mix were okay.